Hey, welcome everybody. Wayne here. Let's take a few minutes while people tune in. Welcome, welcome. A little bit of chat going on already. Christopher says, work meeting at the same time as live stream starts. Hope the meeting is quick. We hope so as well. Hopefully it goes well. Great topic. So today's topic, which we will get to and we'll cover and we'll get to here in a couple minutes, is alternative history of war games and books. Big fan of books first, honestly, more than the war game aspect. But I've started to get into kind of alternative history war games, so which we'll dig into that in a little bit. Good afternoon, James says. Good afternoon from Southern Ontario. Welcome, welcome. Good afternoon from Southern Missouri. Here it is. Finally in the 80s, so we're without jinxing it, hopefully, we're basically done with the 90s temperatures, right? So it's 80s today, it was 80s, I think, yesterday. Basically, looking at the weather, looks like for about the next 10 days, it's going to be all 80s, which I'll take it over that 90s and 100 plus. So we are, they've started selling pumpkin spice everywhere, pumpkin spice lattes at Starbucks, Dunkin'. They're trying to make you think like it's fall, which it's certainly not fall here, but it is finally kind of sort of cooling off. So Charles says, had been a busy morning, had to get blood work done, then food, made a few dollars on recycled bottles. Now I get to drive to doctor's appointment. Hopefully doing all right there, Charles. Good to see you, though. Awesome while driving. Hey, appreciate that. Be careful driving and everything, but sure appreciate you showing up even for just a little bit. JBX, howdy. Howdy, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Back to our usual time this week. Last week we had to have it later in the evening. Hopefully everyone got the message. Hopefully too many people weren't here at noon Central Standard Time, to watch the show and said, "Where the heck is Wayne?" We had Sean Drewlinger. I think I was saying Drewlinger. I think it's Drewlinger, pronounced that way. Sorry, Sean. Had him on to talk about Point Blank and my review of Point Blank, and he kind of addressed some of my criticisms and all that. So, David, howdy, welcome, welcome. All right, so a few minutes in, let's go ahead and get started. So, again, hope everyone had a great week. You made it. The weekend is here, basically. I mean, again, this is noon on Friday here where I am in central United States, but I think for most of us, the weekend is either here or will be here shortly. Again, we're down to the 80s in the weather. Finally, I'm really, really glad for that. I've been basically a hermit inside, especially with Vern coming home, me going part-time at work for a little while here to help take care of him. I've been kind of a hermit at home, so I've not been outside to enjoy the weather anyway. And we've gotten some much needed rain here. I know there's been some flooding in some other places. We haven't had any flooding here, but some much needed rain overall. So today's topic is we'll be talking about alternative history, war games, and books. But before we dive into the topic of the week, as usual, let's do a channel briefing, and then we'll look at a new release or upcoming game I've got my eye on, which for this week will be one that is tied into the alternate history style war game. Ooh, what could it be? You'll see here in a little bit. So unfortunately, it looks like Kilroy was able to come in. I thought I had it set that it would auto ban him and he wouldn't be able to comment, but maybe settings got messed up or something. So I'm gonna have to work on that after the stream. So I'm too busy right now. But Kilroy was here. Robert, good to see you as always, my friend. I've been getting into a little bit of abusing Kilroy and Jester over there at ID Jester. I'm giving him a lot of crap lately too. Every time I tune into his channel, he's playing some Euro game or something. I'm like, do you even play war games? What's your deal, man? Just kidding. It's like you're co-hosting or hosting the War Room, but I don't even know if he plays war games over there. So, all right, Let's get into the channel briefing. So first off, as I mentioned, I had a lot of fun last week interviewing Sean Drulinger, and we talked primarily about Point Blank, V's for Victory, the occasional tangent, as I like to do. Check that video out if you're interested in hearing his responses to my criticisms of the game. So we had a lot of fun. I didn't challenge him too heavy. What I basically did for the most part, a little banter back and forth, was I read like from my kind of my script or my notes for my reviews. So when I do my reviews, right, I write them out ahead of time and have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to say. It's not an exact script or anything like that I have to follow, but it just has really fleshed out notes. So you can I just would read like one of my cons, and then he would kind of respond to it. So it was a lot of fun, actually, and I think he had a lot of fun, and it was pretty interesting. He was decked out in all of his Lock and Load publishing gear, and I think David Heath, owner of Lock and Load, stopped by as well to keep an eye on him. Make sure he's towing the company line. But we had fun, so check that out if you guys if you missed it. Second, I finished 2 series since our last regular chat, right? So since 2 weeks ago. First was Save South Vietnam from Bob Fanath and Fortress Games. Honestly, it's my new favorite solitaire war game that on the Vietnam War. So take a look at my videos on it and take a look at the game if you're in the market for an excellent solo game covering the entire war. It's available, I believe, on Amazon. So I think if you go to his website, which you can just Google like Fortress Games, but I think that if you go to Amazon and search Save South Vietnam, it pops up and it's fulfilled through Amazon, I believe. Which maybe that I don't know about overseas. I don't want to comment, you guys. I know I have a lot of people who watch my show here and watch my videos that are overseas. I can't comment if it's available overseas or not. I hope it is, because I'd love for you guys to be able to get a chance to check the game out. The other game and series I covered Flashpoint South China Sea from Harold Buchanan and GMT. This is a card-driven game that focuses on the political situation in the South China Sea. One player plays as China, the other is the U.S., and you're attempting to influence the countries bordering the South China Sea by playing cards, placing in cubes, influence cubes, scoring out countries if you have influence, and you play through 3 campaigns, which is basically like 3 like quick games almost. It's not really a war game. There's no fighting. There's no direct fighting at all. It's a light strategy game, but overall I had a lot of fun with it. And yes, it does come with a full solitaire bot, thanks to Jason Carr. The bot can play as either opponent. Of course, I played as the US and against the Chinese bot. I never played it the opposite way because I have no interest in that. But you can play it either way if you want. So, as usual with both those games and both series, check out my review videos for my full thoughts on the games, my pros, cons, all that good stuff. So, Mo, nice to see you. Howdy. Afternoon to everybody. Everybody except Jester if he's here. I will give a good afternoon to Kilroy, to Robert there. So, I'm trying to get Robert to come on the show. Well, Kilroy was here, plus Wayne, tearing up the solitaire wargaming world. But every time I try, he's busy with something. Oh, I'm gonna bring my kid to the East Coast or something. Yeah, right. Okay, sure. Show me the receipts. I want to see the plane tickets or the gas receipts if you're driving. I assume you're flying. Although price of gas come down a little bit, so a little bit. All right. Finally, the next couple of games I'll be checking out will be first off should be Vultures Lead the Way from Herman Lutman and published by White Dog Games. So I have it right behind my shoulder there. Just came in. Finally got a package from White Dog Games. Blue Panther is the printer from Blue Panther. Been waiting on a few games. I got in Vultures Lead the Way. I got in Kaiser Krieg and then the Knight solitaire zombie game. So 3 solo games. Can't wait to cover them. Not sure when Kaiser Krieg and the Knight will be. Vultures will definitely be the next one after currently have Storming the Gap from World of War Series 85, which, speaking of alternate history, but we'll cover those in a little bit. So anyway, Vultures is a solitaire war game. We play as, human soldiers fighting on the moon and Mars against the alien invaders named the Fermicians, named after Enrico Fermi of the Fermi Paradox. So it uses a modified system from one of my favorite war games of all time in magnificent style. that like push your luck aspect. Kind of have almost like a grid. You're pushing up from the bottom. You're seeing how far you can kind of make it. And if you push too far and your dice don't work out, the cards don't work out for you, you're going to end up maybe starting back all the way at the beginning. So I really enjoy that system and how it works. So looking forward to see how the changes he's made. I know he's made some changes. I think it's diceless. Shh, it's okay. It's okay. Everybody relax. I think it's diceless. I think you just use card draws to determine what happens. So can't 100% guarantee that, but I think that's what's going on with it. Anyway, you guys know I love Herman Lutman's sci-fi solitaire war games. I've covered them on my channel. I've talked about them on my channel. We had a show on sci-fi war games, and I talked about a bunch of them. So, and I love that system. So overall, I'm really looking forward to it. After that, probably will be Operation Theseus, Gazala, 1942. So I think, like basically every other war game YouTuber, I have been sent a review copy from VUCA Simulations. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Maybe they had reached out obviously to a bunch of YouTubers and said, "Hey, you interested in checking out any of our games?" I said, "Well, I'll try out one. I don't want to get a big box of games and just have either a bunch of games sitting there or turn my channel into the VUCA Simulations channel. That's not what we're about, right? We cover games that I think that I'm interested in, that I think you guys will be interested in as well. Which I do think this one could work really well. Solitaire. It's not a solitaire game. It is a 2-player game, but it has like a solitaire play aid that comes with it. Some sort of, I'm not sure exactly the details on that. And then with that came this little extra pamphlet filled with, or pouch filled with like the player aids, I guess. I don't know if they're updated ones, maybe. Either maybe they weren't in the box, or I don't know if these are just updated, fixed. They're like card, like not card stock. They're almost like mounted. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, we will check that game out after Volters. Most likely. Volters for sure next. Oh yeah, so Operation Theseus, just on my little notes here. It's a 2-player, like I said, although it seems self-friendly. Hex encounter game. You activate formations through headquarters units, and you spend action points for that formation, and then the formation moves down on a track, and eventually the formations, I think, are exhausted, and you can't use them anymore. So I've just skimmed the rule book, but I like what I've seen so far. Yeah, I think that remember I said I tried to sabotage your package? It must have backfired. You must have got word in ahead of time before me, because mine took forever to get here. God bless everyone involved. God bless Steve at Blue Panther. He prints a lot of great games for a lot of good companies. Hollandspiel, White Dog Games, my 2 favorites. But they were sending me some review copies, and then I was ordering some at the same time, and then just took a while. It took a while, but that's okay. Mo says, Night basic game is easy to play. If you get firearms and die roll at the beginning of the game, it will make the game really easy. Optional rules increase difficulty, which are needed. Okay, fair enough. Do them on chipboard, very Euro style. Yeah, I assume you mean the VUCA simulations. It's interesting. So again, I haven't even opened it. You can see it still has the like stickers on the bottom to seal the cover on it or whatever. So well, hopefully I'll do unboxing on that, a recon coming up. But all right, so let's get to again, I like to cover a new release or an upcoming game. In today's case, it completely goes with the topic of the week, and that is, as I'm clicking to get it to pop up, boom, World of War 85 Blood and Fury. So this one I think I already talked about it, but you know what, I'm talking about it again. I pledged for it. You can see backer number 99. So I have pledged for it. I put my money where my mouth is. I'm not just talking review copy style of like, oh well, I'm getting a review copy, so I better talk about it. No, I'm paying for a copy. We're looking forward to this one. So what happened was, I was keeping an eye. I've covered some lock and load publishing games lately, and they've really been stepping up, I feel like, with their solitaire games. Not that they haven't before, because literally Space Infantry Resurgence, right? I loved, which is a straight solitaire game. Maybe has multiplayer as part of it. Maybe, I don't even know, but I look at it as solitaire. And then what am I thinking of? Was there something else that covered? I can't think of it. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, so I was interested to kind of keep an eye on what else they're doing, right? Lock and Load Tactical. I looked into Here's a Bitter Harvest, which I did an interview of Devin. You can look back in my past live streams for that. I know that Here's a Bitter Harvest, Lock and Load Tactical system, has a dedicated solo, and I think that's what they're going to do going forward. So it's not, you don't have to have the separate solo module, right? It's built in. And then I saw that Blood and Fury, same thing. It's going to be built in. Now, this is Blood and Fury is the second game in the series, World of War 85 series. First one, Storming the Gap, has a solo assistant that's separate. And I'm sure you guys have seen on my channel, I've already done a recon of both Storming the Gap and the solo assistant. And then I did, and I've now done a playthrough of part of the first scenario from Storming the Gap. So check that out if you haven't, by the way. Spent a lot of time on the post editing. May not seem like it. I'm no special effects artist over here, but the more editing you do on these videos, right, the more like after the fact editing, it takes a lot of time. I enjoy it. I love doing it. I love showing these games off to you guys, but check that out if you haven't yet. Please, I'd sure appreciate it. Give a little thumbs up if you haven't too. But man, I'll be honest, and not to spoil my upcoming review, and I'll have a review video eventually. I'm getting hooked on it. Like I said, Blood and Fury, I saw that it was coming out. Pledged for it, obviously, and I pledged for it before I'd ever played any of the World of War games. And except I played Nations at War on Steam, the digital version of it, and I had a little fun with that. I didn't play it a ton, but I had some fun with that. But anyway, I saw that it's not chip pull, it's card draw for World of War 85 series. No problem there. And I had a little chat with Mo. I saw he'd posted on Facebook, and I kind of posted a couple comments. And he's like, "Hey, I think you're gonna like it." And well, I'll tell you right now, I'm having a blast with it. But after I pledged for Blood and Fury, I reached out to David Heath over Lock and Load, and I was like, "Hey, like I would love to get my hands on Storming the Gap. Like, do you even have any copies left?" And then I think that's when they were saying they were looking into adding them to the add-ons available for Blood and Fury, the game found here, which they did. And so he sent me a copy, which I did a little like sneak peek video, and then I've been covering it. But I've been having a blast with it, so I really like it. Card draw. So even like the base game to activate formations, and it's obviously, I'll pull it up here a little bit more. Hex and counter, platoon scale. Second volume of the World War 85 series, a line of games centered on fast and furious platoon level combat. You gotta love market speak, right? I love those guys over there at Lock and Load, but you gotta love market speak, whoever's doing it. So, set in an alternate history in 1985, the globe is thrust into the maelstrom of World War III when the Warsaw Pact armies storm across the border between East and West Germany to gamble to seize West Germany and the whole of free Europe. So again, Storming the Gap, I've been having a lot of fun with it. Tied into that's what made me think of the alternate history. I was like, man, I've been having a blast with this. And like sometimes in my past, like I used to read more alternate history, but I didn't really play games with it. Now I'm like getting into the games too, and I've covered some games, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. But I wanted to show off Blood and Fury and just be like, hey, there's a few days left. So you guys want to back that? You guys check it out. You guys make your own informed decision. I'll do my best to kind of give you guys my opinion on it. I've been playing the games, playing Storming the Gap. You guys can watch those videos, see kind of what's going on. I was hoping to have another playthrough video up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to in time before this ends because there's only 3 days left. But it's got a whole bunch of stretch goals. This is the last one is at 125,000 as of right now, last I saw. And they're at 124,381. So they're probably, they're funded well funded. Obviously, goal was 25K, 124K. Probably one of Lock and Load's best crowdfunding games ever, I would think, based on those numbers. But of course, you get a ton of content, all that. But two things, but I love is obviously, like I said, I'm learning to love the system. It's almost like it's a very medium weight, but like an easier medium, maybe a light medium. Very easy to learn for the most part. Not super rule heavy. You get into some exceptions, you get some weird stuff, and you start getting into like helicopters and things where it's like, okay, it's kind of, you start, how do I manage a helicopter? Because there's a whole bunch of regular units, tanks, APCs, some artillery, infantry, squad weapons, leaders, headquarters, and then suddenly you're like throwing some of these helicopters in. It can start adding up a little bit on the rules, but overall, not even close to something like Lock and Load Tactical or even Point Blank V's for Victory, which I've said I like the game, but the rules are maybe titch too heavy for me. Overall, just for like casual enjoyment, it's maybe a little bit too heavy rule set. If you want casual, maybe a little bit lighter on it. And by casual, I mean like still dedicated, right? But it's kind of a lifestyle game. Point Blank is. This one, I don't think it is. I mean, a lot of information on these counters when you look at them, but it's super easy. I mean, it's literally like say the top left on this M1 Abrams here. 11 is the range and hexes for the attack. This is an eight. By the way, the top left will be AP armor piercing attack. Top right is HE, right? So top left, you're shooting at a T80. The top right, you're shooting at infantry. The range and the hexes, and then the 4 is the number of dice you would throw, the firepower, and then the 5 would be the 2-hit number on it. So as soon as you look at a counter, you see, okay, say I'm shooting infantry, it has 5 hexes away, up to 5 hexes. Technically, you can do up to 10 long range attack, or if it's half or less, the range is your point blank range. You get a little bonus, right? Help you out. You're going to throw 3 dice, and the orange tells you what type of weapon. So if it gets some of them may be better where you can move and fire better with an Abrams than you can with a older style tank, right? Because Abrams have that technology where they can be moving and firing. And then you're going to, on your dice when you're rolling a hit, you roll 5s. If they had 5, if they died to get a hit, simple as that. You'll see modifiers. That's where the complexity starts adding in, right? You get modifiers for terrain, modifiers for this or that. So, it can, add in a little bit of complexity there, but overall, not too bad at all. So, you guys check out my videos on Storming the Gap. Check out the page here over on GameFound. So it's not Kickstarter, it's on GameFound. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're going to back it or not. I'm curious. But yeah, I went in on it. I didn't go all in on everything. Probably don't need everything. I just need the base game. I'm sure there's gonna be. I can only imagine how much content's gonna be in the base game alone. I think it said somewhere over here. Oh yeah, so I assume this is probably the base game. 8 counter sheets for the maps, 14 player aid cards, 3 campaign cards, 100 poker size formation cards. So again, you can see like the cards here. It's a chit draw, right? To activate, it's formation cards. So you draw it, and then whatever card, right? It's the formation you activate. And then solitaire assistant. So just the tarot size solitaire assistant cards. So these will be more direct instead of more generic like the regular solo assistant is, which it does work, and I'll talk about that in my review. It does work. It's more of a guide though than anything. It's not a complete like it's tell you exactly what to do in all situations. You're gonna want to tweak things a little bit as you go, but this one's more tailored to the game, and it comes with it, and so you can either play it, as do the card draw / chit draw, right, as the solitaire, like I do with a lot of my games, blind swords, hello, or use the solitaire assistant cards, which is what I've been doing with Storming the Gap for the most part. So. Mo's taking over the channel, chit chatting. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Never played Nations of War other than, like I said, the Steam game. Croy says, had to step away. Maybe you kicked me off. I'm getting ready to click back at GameFound as I type this. Perfect. Go ahead and tell David that you're backing because of me, please. Hey, don't be stealing my thunder here. I'm pushing it today. You can push it another day. Yeah, I think Point Blank is much more suited to the usual lock and load fan who loves, let's say, lock and load tactical. And yeah, it's a space hog. We talked about that a bit. Yeah, no commission for any public relations. No. I mean, maybe there's some people out there getting paid. It ain't me. I'll tell you that right now. John, howdy. Great to see you. You and everyone else who's joined who hasn't said anything yet. You lurkers. Drinking just iced coffee today, guys. It's only noon at 12:30. Nothing stronger. Like during my interview with Sean, where we're both having a little stronger drinks. It was fun. That was a fun one though, actually. Yeah, no, you do. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not great at multitasking yet. And it's the only downside of the solitaire show is that there's not, people commenting. Well, there's people commenting, but not me, right? It's not like the co-host or whatever. It's just me up here running this bad boy. So I got to try to manage everything that's going on, the topic, stay on topic. I don't do good at that, and chit chat. But it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Of course, it says Wayne is a solid system. Rules are not complex for a SUT. What's an SUT? I'm what's an SUT? I'm sorry, I'm not cool like that. The exceptions are relatively intuitive. The only fear / downside is that the amount of content and FOMO can be overwhelming. So, if you don't know FOMO, fear of missing out, I know that acronym, but I do not have no idea what SUT is. SUT. Rules are not complex for a SUT. Um, so, assuming we're talking about World of War 85 series, yeah, I don't think that. I wouldn't worry about the amount of content, although I do know what you're saying, and this is one of the things that I've had this conversation with people when it comes to Lock Low does it. They do. The boxes are filled with content. There's so much stuff in the box you get, right? I mean, I know that that's what they like to do. David has said many times to me, to others, that Lock and Load, what he wants with them is that you buy like a base game and it comes with everything. Now, yes, they usually have like an expansion, right? But a lot of times it's you back on Kickstarter, you back on GameFound. You basically get either everything at once, no matter what, or it's really easy to just get everything bundled together, right? And that's what he wants. He wants to have basically like one purchase and you have everything. Now, it's not going to be inexpensive. It's going to be a little bit more expensive. And it's going to be filled with content, though. And the good side of that is you get a ton of content for your money. I mean, you get a ton of stuff. And even if it isn't cheap, you're still getting you're in one package or a couple boxes at once, and it's gonna have a ton of stuff, right? But the aspect of that, the downside, and I've talked about this before with DVG games, is that sometimes it's overwhelming. And that's when it comes a lot of times with like the leader games with DVG. And I see those people ask all the time on Facebook, all over the place, other Reddit, there's Hex Encounter subreddit, wherever. People are like, hey, I want to get into war games, and maybe they've heard of the Leader series because DVG obviously really popular with solitaire war gamers. Hey, how what's a good leader game to get into? And I always recommend Hornet Leader, and one of the reasons is that it has less content. It has like the least amount of content of any leader game. And say, well, Wayne, why would you recommend that one? Well, first of all, I don't think it's the same price as the other ones. I think it's a little less expensive, I believe. Hopefully, I'm not wrong on that one. But even more importantly is the fact that it's not overwhelming. I mean, you open it up, it actually, I think it only has 3 or 4 counter sheets, right? You're not going to be overwhelmed with. You open up Corsair Leader or the new newest one, I think is Zero Leader. Man, there are so many cards. There are so many counters in that game, and the game's a blast. I gave it a glowing review in my review. But when you open up Zero Leader, like the box is heavy, it's huge, it's filled with stuff. And when you open that up and you look at it, and if you're new to the series, if you're newer to war games, solitaire war games, even if you're comfortable with solitaire war games, but you're new to the series, sometimes I think it's a barrier to entry is looking at all that content, right? Sometimes I think it's nice that maybe you could buy a base game that's smaller, hopefully a little less expensive, that has less content, and then pick up extra stuff later. I think that's one reason that Warfighter from DVG is so popular. Besides the fact that it's just a fun system, right? It's like a action movie on your table, right? Simple, relatively simple, but there's a ton of content. So there's a FOMO aspect. Don't get me wrong, but it's not that hard to learn. And when you buy the base box, you're only getting like a stack of cards like this. You're only getting, well, maybe more than that. But my point is, you don't have the 40 expansions that come later built into the base box, good or bad. You're getting a base box that's only this thick, and that you're able to learn and play and not feel overwhelmed. You can set up the different decks and look at them, and you're like, oh, I only have 2 adversaries to choose from, and I only have these guys to set up and to equip. And there's a limited amount of equipment, limited amount of objectives, limited amount of locations, etc. You're not overwhelmed by it as much as you are by any new game, of course, but it's not overwhelming to the point where you get a new game and you see this. And this isn't just a war game thing too. I see this with Ameritrash, Euro games, whatever. Every Kickstarter, dudes on a map games, right? You check Kickstarter game found, you see the new games coming, you see people on Twitter, Facebook, and they're posting pictures of the games they're getting. There's like, it comes with like, there's like 3 boxes, each one's like this big. Like, are you really going to play all that? Maybe you will, but if you're new to it, it's going to be tough getting into it. So I think that maybe a downside of some of that level of content that you get can almost be overwhelming at first. I just went on and on, but that's what I do on this channel. That's what we do. So SUT is small unit tactical platoon slash squad slash individual. Okay, so SUT. All right, cool. So yeah, I'm not into those cool things like that. I don't know about that stuff. David asks, Wayne, where do you live? I see that you're in my same time zone. I'm in Chicago. I live in Southwest Missouri, outside of Springfield, Missouri. I live right near. I can almost see the Wilson's Creek battleground from where I am. So I can't actually see the battleground, but there is a offshoot of the park that they store like the extra cannons and stuff. Yeah, it's really cool when you drive by it and have all the cannons lined up. It just sucks when they're shooting when you're driving by and you gotta dodge them. But I can almost see it, except there's a bunch of trees in the way. Otherwise, I would probably be able to see it right over there. So that's where I live. Charles, hope you're doing all right. Tired as hell. Been up since 2:30. Yikes, 2:30 in the morning. I assume you poor guy. Retro money tied up in ASL to look at any other tactical system. So I think I'm going to try Lock and Load Tactical. I mean, here's the deal. I've already been apparently getting into everything else Lock and Load has, right? I might as well try their tactical system. But I think I've yet to find like a true tactical system that I want to just invest my time, energy, money, everything else in, right? At least one single one. I am interested though in Worthington's Band of Brothers. I think there's a reprint of that or something coming, right? I believe so. I really want to check that out. Bob says, "Hi Wayne, don't know if it's alternate. What about Levy and Mass? And Mass? Just received from Kickstarter and haven't dived in, but seems to be more revolution in politics, less war, different. Dabbled in it. I have not. But interested in people's thoughts for sure. World at War 85, Blood and Fury only needs 600 plus to unlock the winter maps. Talk about FOMO pushing people, right? It's going to reach that. It's got 3 days left and it only needs $600 for the winter maps. Which again, I think is the last stretch goal. It's going to reach them. That's without a doubt. It's going to reach them. So Jacob Getty says Wayne is located in Springfield, Missouri area. You stalking me, Jacob? I got my eyes on you, Jacob. So David talks about have you ever played Upfront? Asking James, and James says, this is interesting to me. I think cards turn me off a bit. I'm a huge fan of card-driven games, so don't try Point Blank. Don't. It's literally a card, just a bunch of cards. It's got like a map thing that you lay down. That's not even a real map. It's just like a bunch of cards that you can just play with cards. Excuse me, for the terrain. So it's really just more of a mat than a map. Yeah, that's how. So Kilroy says, I'm right down the road, close enough to pull games out of his trash. That's how Robert got his copy of Devil Boats. Um, and then I think of another game I didn't like. Oh, Absolute War from Carl Paratus and GMT. Take it. So, um, yeah, but so easy. Like we use terms like card driven. Think the card driven does not mean the same for game. So when Mo says it's card tactical game, not the same as card CDG, card driven game, which not everyone likes. What is card driven? What is a card driven game, right? Is it the original CDGs? Is it only, is it Twilight Struggle? Is it Flashpoint South China Sea? Is it, where you're playing cards for events and influence or moving cubes around, etc.? Obviously, there's many different games that rely on cards. Warfighter, you're playing cards, or you're playing action cards from your hand, using cards, rolling dice. Like they're all you're using cards, but is it card driven? I don't think anyone would call it card driven, but it is, right? I mean, it relies on your hand of cards. So is that card driven? But it's not the card driven people think about. Ooh, people we love to label things, which we have to, right? Because we have to try to define things so we can describe them. So we have to label them, right? Unfortunately, those labels aren't always accurate. Sorry about that, Robert. I'd get you another copy, but the game sucks, so I'm not going to. All right, so on to the topic at hand. So besides Blood and Fury, the game, alternative history or alternate history, war games, and books. All right, so a couple things I want to talk about with that. So games. So I don't have a ton of alternative history games. I have a few. I'm gonna show off a few that I do have. I way more into like the book aspect of it, novels. But I've been getting into the game. So obviously, as I just spent too long talking about it, like I probably should reach out to David and be like, hey, you probably owe me some money, dude, for talking about this freaking game so much. Storming the Gap, World of War 85, really enjoying it. Hexacounter style game with the solo assistant. Just totally like so glad I started diving into the system because it is a blast. Jacob says, "Sorry, Wayne. I'm in Independence Mo area. So remember for another chat, so you're not far away from me. That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, nice to see you in here, Jacob. Another Missouri gamer here. Well, you'll just have to come check out my trash and find out what it is. So it's not gonna be Storming the Gap. I'm hooked. They got me. They got their claws in me on that one. So partially thank Mo for kind of recommending it and talking me up on it a little bit on Facebook. So card assisted slash aided, different than card driven game. Yeah, I mean, Twilight Struggle is definitely driven, for example. So, right, you're thinking, you play a card to give the action, right, that you have to play a card to do something type of thing, as opposed to just taking an action. But, you know, again, some of these games that we're talking about, you do play a card. You have to play a card to do an action. So, sounds like it's driven by the cards to me. But again, I understand what you're saying. James says, I prefer to just play games based on historical events, but I'm willing to read alternative history books. Joy here, Turtle of Southern Victory series. Yeah, we will talk about that. Yeah, for sure. So, and again, it's kind of how I've been for the most part. Is like really got into wargaming because of the history, right? Not the fake history, but I've started expanding it. Yeah. Hey, I've been waiting on all these checks I'm supposed to be getting. Haven't gotten a single one yet, so I must do it for the love of the game. So decent movie, a little underrated. I mean, it's not great, but it's all right. So alternative history games. Again, I don't have a million of them, and I'll be honest, I'm not even a huge Ty Bomba fan. So I know that I'd put like, oh, get out your Ty Bomba games. I don't even know if I own one of his alternative history games. I think there's one. Is it like Stalin in 45 like invades Western Europe style? I can't remember what the name of that one is. I think I'd like that one maybe, or like to try it at least. But I do have a few games that I have that I want to show off a little bit and just kind of describe. Whoa. And so Operations Olympic and Coronet, solitaire game from Decision Games. So this was it originally like Operation Olympic was like maybe a magazine game. This is a re-release as a folio with Olympic and Coronet. Obviously, alternative history. We don't develop the atomic bomb or it doesn't work, whatever the case is. We got to go in. We got to actually invade. So soldier system is fairly simple on this one. It's more of the fact that the Japanese defenders fairly static, although at a point they will rush towards your U.S. troops and Marines that are landing on the beaches. But really simple. It's not actually the. I don't think it's actually the fire and movement system. I'm checking right now. Should have checked ahead of time. So Hypothetical simulation, regiment, brigade level, planned invasion of Japan. Yep. Olympic, planned November 45 invasion of Kyushu, southernmost Japanese home island. Coronet, planned March 46 invasion of the Tokyo Plain. So it is a lot of fun, though. Simple, easy. The complexity, they say it's low. They're not. They're not wrong. It is low. High solitaire. So I would definitely recommend it. Oh man, my bag's ripping open. Oh no, the counters spill out everywhere. So little half-inch counters. That's kind of a bummer. But other than that, it's a fun game. Well, 2 games, I guess, right? You get like 2 maps, everything like that. So I'm sure, I don't know if it's still in print actually, but it's a recent re-release, semi-recent re-release. I think I got this in 2018. So check that one out if you're interested in. Because I've seen that too. I've seen the topic pop up where people are like, hey, I'd love to, is there a game on the potential invasion of Japan, end of World War II? And I've seen a number of people not recommend this, and they maybe recommend some older games or this or that. So Operations Olympic and Cornet from Decision Games, worth a look at least. And then kind of related here is Defending America and America Bomber, both from Greg Smith. And I hate to give too much press to Compass Games, considering I'm trash talking me lately, but that's okay. It's not Greg's fault that owner of Compass can't get over me in my negative review of Devil Boats. Deal with it. So America Bomber, Evil Queen of the Skies came out first. Very much a so you are, in this one, and they're both obviously Greg Smith, solitaire, narrative-driven games. Solitaire tactical love game plays you in command of a hypothetical yet historically based bomber aircraft. Ooh. During a frightening look at what might have been in World War II. So obviously you can see Evil Queen of the Sky, strategic bombing of America, 47 to 48. So you are in command of, a Luftwaffe America bomber and flying out of the Azores, and then you're bombing locations in America. So wild, out of control, crazy, lots of crazy stuff in it, but it's still fun, narrative driven. If you like narrative driven games, right, and you like Greg Smith games, you're going to want to check out America Bomber. And then tied into that, obviously, same universe, Defending America, which I do prefer. I consider America Bomber, Evil Queen of the Skies. I said this is probably the simplest narrative driven game there is, except for maybe like OG, The Hunters, right? So either the Hunt, if you were to recommend a solitaire narrative driven war game to somebody to get into it, to get into this style of game, either America Bomber or The Hunter. Depending, you want to do like historical, The Hunters. You want to have some fun, but a really simple system, America Bomber. But Defending America, I prefer this overall. A little bit more game there, a little bit more choices. We'll have your box, a little more content, but not too much, not overwhelming. Intercepting the America Bombers, 1947 to 48. So very similar look and style. They just kind of improved some things. Added some additional information to the air operations map, which was one of my complaints from America Bomber. And the air operations map is kind of just like, it's a very big map that doesn't have a whole lot of information on it. That he does. David says, I agree. I'm looking forward to American Tank Ace. Looks like a good one. So anyway, again, alternative history, but just a great system, right? So like you want an alternative history games to, have grounding, I would say, in reality, and have, base, it's alternative history, right? It's not just straight science fiction or fantasy. You want it to stem from historical roots. And those are like why these games that I've really enjoyed, are ones that are stemming from, potential things that could have happened. Now, something like this is probably more realistic in the, would it happen sense than America Bomber Defending America. But the fact that Greg Smith created these and put these out, just they're really fun. I would definitely recommend them to anyone who likes that style of game, that narrative style of game. So if you don't like dice rolling, you don't like narrative driven games, yeah, don't pick those up though. Chris says, anyone seen the Tank documentary on Netflix? I do not know what the name is. I don't know either. So apparently not. I have no idea what you're talking about. But if it is a good documentary, I'm interested. So, um, as for war games, the actual games, like I said, my collection of games besides, we looked at Storm of the Gap, Operation Olympic Hornet, Defending America, America Bomber, pretty limited. I don't even know if I have, maybe, I think I have a couple folio games that I didn't dig out of my shelves. So, too bad on that. I do want the one with from Tai Bamba of some. Oh, wait, no, that's not alternative history, I guess. I'll say I have one on Japan and China in during World War II in China, but it has like aspects of like some events that can happen. Basically, would United States invade Taiwan type of thing, Formosa, which chose not to. Obviously, MacArthur, different ideas of what to do in the Pacific Theater. Plenty of different ideas on what to do. And we went down one path, could have down many of other paths, including talking about invading the Japanese home island. So, as for alternative history war games, if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. Let everyone else know in the comments. Love to check those out. It's starting to get into it more clearly with getting Storm in the Gap kind of getting me going. Of course, I didn't dig it out. I think I got rid of my copy. That's probably why. NATO Air Commander from Hollandspiel, Brad Smith and Hollandspiel, which I assume it's the same guy. I didn't research this before the show, but it's Brad Smith, who I believe did some novels for Storming the Gap, or for a World War 85 series. So I assume the same guy, but he designed, if it's the same guy, this Brad Smith designed NATO Air Commander. So it is literally the 80s. Soviets are marching west, and you got to, in that one though, it's limited scope, but you are sending out these air missions, doing close air support, seed, trying to knock out air defenses, and trying to reduce the Soviet armies as they're marching west. Really fun little game. Probably a little underrated. I enjoyed it a lot. I've heard some negatives on certain things. You can kind of game the system a little bit, I think, but overall, I really like it. That's from Hollandspiel, Brad Smith and Hollandspiel. So definitely check that one out as well. So I think I do have a couple more alternative history games than I had realized. So I think maybe for me, a lot of the alternative history stuff is I like the World War III stuff, but it doesn't have to be just that, right? I'm okay with like other alternative history choices as well. So going away from books a little bit and getting into like novels. So I had a whole bunch of alternative history novels, and I'll tell you my favorite alternative history series of all time in a second. But during the Great Purge, when I moved from up north to down here in Missouri, I got rid of like all my novels, all my books, basically, other than RPG books. And then when I moved, I was really into war games, but I kept like few like board games and war games I had. But I got rid of like all my books, shelves of like paperback books and a lot of hardcover books too. Starting to build up my military history collection a little bit, just because I have reference books to read and reference as I'm playing these games before I play them. Because when I get a new game, a lot of times I love to check out a book that's related to that topic, that's authoritative, that I can learn things maybe I didn't even realize. So, which says Beyond the Arouse, a Tai Bamba game from Decision. Okay, definitely. And is that what's the story behind that one? I don't have my Board Game Geek up. The first time I had Board Game Geek up in weeks, 2 weeks. Let's see what that one is. Campaign in Russia, 2002. Two-player strategic level simulation of a campaign that might have been in Russia during World War II. Oh, postulates the Germans had defeated the Red Army in 41, in their 41 invasion of the Soviet Union, but failed to force the capitulation of the Soviet Union itself. Okay. All right. The Russians keep fighting. There's crazy cover picture. Let me pull this up so you guys can see. I'm gonna share. Look at this crazy picture that I love on Board Game because it's like crowd sourced. Look at this crazy picture that someone's like, yeah, here's a great picture to have as the picture on the front. Like you couldn't think of a better. No one who likes this game at any point was like maybe this blurry ass picture shouldn't be the picture that everyone sees when they pull up the game. Anyway, not to get distracted, but hey, always interested in checking out a new game for sure. So I'll have to put that one on the list. But all right. So James says, "Why can't move? I need a moving advantage to my Bernard Cornwell books." Yeah, like moving is such a pain, especially when you have a ton of stuff. But it is what it is. So anyway, so we'll cover my favorite series, alternative history novels, in a second. But what I have, like, because I pulled up just some Amazon pages, but what I have that I own right now is not much, and I have to give Robert Kilroy a little bit of credit. So the What If series, I have, is this number one or number two? There's a couple of them here. Yeah, one and two. So what if the world's foremost military historians imagine what might have been? What if? I've have not read like cover to cover, but I've picked and chose some of the stories and ideas out of here, and some of them are pretty good. The nice thing is they're like, I think this was in order, right, timeline wise. So the first one, for instance, is the plague that saved Jerusalem, 701 BC. Conquest denied, premature death of Alexander the Great. Teutoburg Forest, AD 9. As a Roman history fan, I have tears thinking about that one. What Ifs of 1914, etc. So it's like in order. Midway Disaster, Japan Springs a Trap, June 4th, 1942. So what I've read, the ones I have read, I've enjoyed most of them. There's I think one of them I read, I was like, what is this crap? But for the most part, really enjoy this one. And then there is a second one. So again, Kilroy was here. Robert, give him credit for recommending these on his channel. I saw him on there. And went ahead and ordered, I think, both of them right away. So I think worth checking out if you want a collection of shorter stories as opposed to like just a series of novels or anything like that. Now, as for actual books here, hang on, that I absolutely love, just don't have copies to show you guys. Let me pull them up. So my favorite alternative history series, I think by far, this is the one that got me into this topic, got me really interested, is The Lost Regiment by William Fortune. Just absolutely fantastic. So what this is a American Civil War, a Union regiment goes through like a portal and is transported to an alien world. And what happens is with this alien world is that there are you'll as the books grow, because you can see there's 8-9 books in the series. They're exploring, they're developing their own technology over time, which is super cool, right? Because it takes like a slightly different path than say Earth did, right? But then they're encountering groups of, or obviously cultures from before them in Earth history that have been transported to this world. And there's the big, of course, the big evil menace they have to deal with, constantly dealing with, that's terrorizing basically everybody. Just great, because I think that, combines history with a very fantastical premise, of course, being transported to another world and encountering these aliens that treat humans as cattle, basically, right? And so that's where it gets into like, this makes your skin crawl, but at the same time, like super interesting, super entertaining. Two-guard, yeah, here we go. Circle planet demand tribute, including humans to be devoured. Oh, the hordes will be arriving sooner than expected, for several 100,000 warriors on horseback. It gets a little gratuitous at times, and a little bit of like just basically like mowing them down, basically, because these hordes are not had a threat probably for centuries, and here with Colonel Keene, 35th Maine Regiment, using all their 19th century know-how, they build a new society, railroads, ironworks, etc., to fight back against this horde of the aliens that are eating people. So, like, it sounds crazy, and it is crazy, but super entertaining. Harry Turtledove himself, one of the most intriguing writers, say, in the field of historical and military science fiction. So, yeah, then there's a whole 8 books in the series: Rally Cry, Union Forever, Terrible Swift Sword, Beautiful Lightning, Center Battle Hymn. Obviously, the names, right? But very cool, just really enjoyable. Probably a little pulpy at this point, but I probably this series is the most had the most impact on me for alternative history and getting into this genre and having a passion for it. So David says, there's a great old SPI game called Time Tripper that's about a squad of U.S. Marines in Vietnam using their radio to visit places in the past, present, and future. It was a lot of fun. So I think I saw this covered on Geek Gamers, her channel. I don't know if she's still around. It's been a while since I've watched any of her videos, but she had covered some stuff on Time Tripper, and it looked pretty wild. It looked like it could have been a lot of fun. So definitely, more on the pulpy end of fantastical end, right, as opposed to like, oh, this is just a slight change in history that could have had big consequences. Instead, it's like, hey, we're gonna travel through time, like, well, different levels of scale. But hey, I just said I love the Lost Regiments, and that's absolutely ridiculous premise, but I did love it. It's enjoyable. Howdy, Harold. Good to see you. Good to see you, and everyone else has joined. And of course, the of Grandmaster of Alternative History, and I have two really enjoy. One single book, I think it's one book, and then a series. Although I know he's done a lot more, and I've read some of the other ones as well. Obviously, Harry Turtledove, Guns of the South. So the Confederate Army is given AK-47s, and just again, crazy, absolutely nuts. And you see the cover, which will not apparently go get bigger here. Yeah. Oh, well, good. I'm glad I can make the cover bigger so you guys can actually see it up close. But anyway, as you can see here, old Robert E. Lee seems to have a little something in his hand. Oh, what is that? An AK-47? What the heck? So anyway, kind of and a little bit of a twist, sort of partway through. It's not exactly what you would think, right? But it's just super entertaining. Again, you have sort of the books where it's like a what if based on history. Then you have stuff like this from Harry Turtledove that's more of like, hey, here's something absolutely crazy that happens, and then how would it impact history? You kind of have those two different levels. I understand this, maybe the more fantastical ones aren't like this. Guns of the South aren't going to be for everyone, but just a entertaining book, really ridiculous. But hey, sometimes you got to have a little fun. Got a little fun with something. So I'll leave with an AK. Okay, I'll check it out. Hey, it's it's I want to say, well, obviously it's published in 93. I think, I don't know if it's his most popular book, but definitely very, very popular overall. And I think that, again, continuing, so besides the like slight twists of history, continuing with the crazier stuff. Where'd it go? Uh-oh, looking through my notes here. Here it is. So the World War series, World War Volume 1, In the Balance, by Harry Turtledove as well. Again, the Grandmaster of Alternative History. So this is World War II is in full swing, back and forth, right in, was it 42? So it is, things are rolling. And as it says here, the real enemy came. Again, fantastical. Invaders seem unstoppable. The technology far beyond human reach. And never before had men been more divided. Boom, boom, boom. So basically, aliens start invading during World War II. But the twist on it is that the aliens, before they set off on their journey, when they viewed humanity, they viewed us, I think, as like the medieval level, like just after classical style, like Middle Ages and maybe Dark Ages. And so very like low technology, right? And they're like, yeah, this will be super easy. Well, they show up and suddenly we have machine guns and tanks and aircraft and yes, eventually the atomic bomb. So it throws everything out of whack for them. Because that is not what they were expecting, not where they're expecting to invade, and actually start suffering losses. So the aliens, right, as you see their perspective, is that they're suffering losses against these humans that they did not expect to suffer at all. So, and this one again is it's not just one book; it's like a series. I don't know how many there are, 3 or 4 maybe, but maybe more. Usually, you can see like a series. Oh, book 1 of 5. There it is. So 5 books. I want to say. I don't want to spoil it at all, but man, really enjoyable. Really, just like sit down, read, just have some fun with this. Just wild stuff. As you have, Germans, Americans, Japanese, Soviet Union, everyone teaming up to try to fight these. And some humans are collaborators, some are not. It's very, very wild and fun. So definitely recommended World War series from Harry Turtledove. Really just search Harry Turtledove on Amazon and pretty much read any of his stuff, and you're probably going to find some stuff you enjoy. So, yeah, basically, what do you want? Alternative history. It's either going to be the South or it's going to be aliens. You're good to go. No, yeah, and that's why if you want to check out something that's a little more broad, book like this. I know that there's some other, so you can search alternative history anthologies. Find books that have like that, right? We'll have a bunch of different stories, different authors, and those are sometimes more fun if you want a sampling from different authors and a sampling of different times, right? Um, and there's one that I read that was basically the Roman Empire surviving into modern times, which of course, obviously I love that story, right? So I have Team Yankee mentions a plausible alternative history one that's awesome, along with Red Army. So I have when I was doing research for what game it was. It wasn't actually Storming the Gap. It was something else I was covering. Some other like alternative history World War III game I was covering. I picked up Team Yankee. I picked up World War III. I picked up like those older books, right? Because these are right. We're talking about these are the ones from the 80s, I believe, back when the Soviet Union was actually around and actually considered such a big threat. So good stuff. Pulpy, fun. We gotta have fun with it. You know, people who, no, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Um, John asks, are there any popular, more realistic alternative history novels like Team Yankee that are not World War III? No, I'm kidding. I'm sure there are. I don't know of any. So if you guys know of any, let comment in the comments. Let John and myself know. I would be interested. I can't say there's any like novels again other than the anthologies. So, for instance, and that wouldn't be like novels, right? Like it's not going to be. Um, who was it? I'm trying to find. My apologies. Pulled up a bunch of this stuff. I got a bunch of stuff ready before the show, but I did not get this ready, so that's on me. Is that well? I've read this. I've read the best alternate history stories of the 20th century, um, edited by Harry Turtledove and Martin Greenberg. So this one is one that I've read. I believe I owned and then do not own anymore. Again, probably one I got rid of when I moved. Um, Share screen. Used to have a way to share my screen super easy, but I haven't been able to find it lately. I don't know where it went. This one, I think I want to say, but again, though, it's not a full like novel or novel series, right? It's just one. Um, oh, and then what's another one I got rid of? Um, does it the next day, the day after, right? I think the day after. That's World War III, though. You're not into that one, but maybe not. I don't know. There's something where it's like the neck like it's not the next day or it's like 1 day war or something. It's basically about the fact that like it's a limited nuclear exchange between the United States and Russia. The rest of the world is not involved. It's not like world ending. It's basically it messes up Russia, Soviet Union, and the United States, and then now you're dealing with the aftermath, like a year after something. I can't remember what the name of it is, but that's a really good one too. I can remember the name of it, but it's another one I think that came out in the '80s. So Clancy stuff, yeah, some good stuff though. David says there were a couple of games that covered a hypothetical German invasion of Spain or Spanish/German invasion of Gibraltar. I think one was the Europa module for whom the bell tolls. Yeah, maybe. Even miniseries. There was I wish the book though was really good. I can't remember the name of it. And somebody's trying to search on Amazon is like I would like to get a good Sea Lion game, Operation Sea Lion Invasion of Britain, World War II. That'd be fun. Get a good one of those games. I don't know if there's a good one out there yet or not. Um, like a standalone, preferably solitaire game. But I'd love to see that. So alternative history, obviously, there's a good amount of games, tons of books, novels, stories. Yes, they're the dedicated books seem to be more made up, fantastical, right? The realistic stuff is more and you're going to find in anthologies, collections of short stories, things like that. It's a little harder to maybe have a series of novels that's based on a history that's alternative that it's really going to be that popular and carry itself, right? Because like I think there's a limit to how far you can go with telling a alternative history when then it turns into, well, how much is made up, right? If one thing changes, I mean everything else is the same. Just one little thing change, maybe it changes the political course of a war, of a country's leadership, of conquest. But then, like, how does that impact other things? Because you can pretty quick get into fantastical, I guess, right? That's kind of the idea. So that's the thing, right? On one hand, you have you know Operation Olympic and Coronet, a semi-planned, almost certain thing to happen that was going to happen if Japan did not surrender, versus you know defending America Bomber, Evil Queen of the Skies, a extremely unrealistic but fun um, semi-reality, right? It's not aliens invading. It's not Harry Turtle loves aliens invading, but there's some history involved, but more of a little bit of fun, just having fun with it. So yeah, we're struggling to come up with some of these names. So one thing we're looking for, Robert, you may know, you seem well read. You're a smart fella. We're trying to figure out a non-fantastical alternative history book series that's popular. So not aliens invading during World War II, or you know, generally being given AK-47s, but something a little bit more realistic. That's but then like a dedicated series of novels, as opposed to no. I found these myself, all on my own. Yes, you recommended them. I already told everybody that. In fact, I think I mentioned it twice. That's the third time now. Robert, you're starting to piss me off. I'm telling you, man. You're starting to piss me off. Once more, and you're out of here. Then I'll see you next week. For the Jack White Camelot series, it is Arthurian from the end of Roman Britain to the end of King Arthur. I have not, but I thank you for the recommendation. I'm going to add it to my list for sure, because I've actually was kind of recently was getting into King Arthur legend and that sort of end of Roman Britain, going into the Dark Ages and kind of all that. And not even so much the history, the real history, although it's interesting. We just don't seem to know a whole lot about that time period. But then the myths and the legends, right? But then told in realistic story manner, right? As opposed to just myths and legends where it's very fantastical and that's it. It's like tying into alternative history novels and stuff, right? Where you have fantastical ideas that you try to maybe turn into reality and how they would really happen in real life. So I was away on the phone with David He trying to get you a check. Yeah, right. I know David. He ain't gonna cut me no checks. Christopher, the 1632 series is that published by Bain, right? Bain Books. Flint, something Flint, I believe. I never read those. That's what we're talking about. Hmm. Camelot series. I'm adding that to my list for sure. Like I said, I'm always looking for recommendations for books and games. Of course, doesn't mean I have time for all of them. Camelot, I mean, Camelot. I assume. I thought maybe Camelot was the name of it. Jack White. Not finding anything on old Amazon. That's not good. This thing really exists? Send me on a Camelud. That's what it is. Camelot. What the hell? Can't they just name their stuff normal? Found it though. Tells the story of how Camel may actually have come to be. Did it really happen? Hmm. Interesting. Found it. The Sky Stone, The Dream of Eagles, Volume 1, Camelot Chronicles by Jack White. So that's the first one. So found that. I'm definitely going to be picking that one up, checking that one out. Um, $9 on Kindle. Jeez. Man, I think I made a money over here. Okay, so we got recommendations. Bernard Cornwell, just talking about. Yeah, there's obviously a ton of stuff. So tons of stuff, lots of good things. Check out. I think what I'm gonna do later today, besides play some more Storm the Gap, um, and then eventually get that off my table so I can play Vultures Lead the Way. I think I'm going to touch on this book, recommended by Kilroy Was Here, aka Robert Carroll. Happy now? Um, maybe this one, number 2. And I'm going to look through. Yeah, no kidding. Well, didn't you know that there's there's like issue with paper mills that closed? Wisconsin, where I'm from, like a bunch of paper mills that closed. Apparently, digital paper mills that closed too, or something. I don't know. Like paper's more expensive. But I think what I'm gonna do today, besides hang out with Vern, my wife, is I think I'm gonna dig into the old What If book again and kind of read a little bit of stuff in there. So, but all right, guys, I think we've covered pretty much everything for today. All my topics, anyway. I'm tired. A long day yesterday. We had to go to St. Louis and back. So I am tired. Dragging a little bit, trying to drink this iced coffee, but I don't think it's kicking in or anything. I mean, are you one of the? Oh, edited by Robert Cowley. Is that your pen name? Is there a pen name, Kilroy? Kilroy was here. Robert Cowley was here. James, great resource, James. Want to go further back in time? Wilbur Smith has a great series on ancient Egypt that starts with the river god. Ooh, all right, all right, all right. David, you have a great weekend as well, guys, gals. Although I think I mostly see guy names in the chat. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Had a lot of fun chit chatting. I'm about to pass out. I feel like I'm freaking dragging suddenly. So my energy level is. So it is time for me to take my leave. But thank you, everybody, coming out for participating. As usual, you guys are great. Great to see everybody. Thanks for the chat. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And Vern's doing great, and he really appreciates it as well. So, absolutely. All right, everybody. Whew. Have a good weekend. Get some gaming in, and pick up a Harry Turtledove novel or a William Fortune book on the Lost Regiment. Okay, check those out because I know I loved them. So, all right. But until next time, everybody. Later.